Dr. Ryan Anderson is a senior research fellow at the Heritage Foundation and author of When Harry Became Sally, responding to the transgender movement. Dr. Anderson, thank you for joining us. What is your response to the vice president saying that 8-year-olds should be able to change their gender with no discrimination?
No adult should be doing anything to confuse a child about who they are with the body that they have. We are our bodies. And we shouldn't be suggesting to young people that they might be, quote, trapped in the wrong body, or that we should be blocking their puberty, or we should be giving them cross-sex hormones. That's what all of this is ultimately about. It's about children who don't feel comfortable in their own bodies, and then adults suggesting to them that their truth might be that they're actually the opposite sex, and that modern medicine could then transform their body to align it with the opposite sex. What we as adults should be doing is to be helping children feel comfortable in their own bodies, not creating confusion.
If there's no discrimination, does that mean that children can then decide on medical interventions like puberty blockers and hormones?
Well, of course, no one is in favor of discrimination, but what's happening here is that liberals are using that word discrimination to say that any disagreement about transgenderism is discrimination. So if you disagree with puberty blocking drugs for children, if you disagree with cross-sex hormones for teenagers, they then accuse you of, quote, discrimination. We should just reject that framing of the question. What we have here is a disagreement. I think it's bad medicine to give a child puberty blocking drugs to delay or to prevent their natural biological puberty. I think it's bad medicine to give a child the opposite sex hormones. Right? That's not discrimination. That's a disagreement about the nature and purpose of medicine, the nature and purpose of healing, wholeness, right? And so I think we need to have the conversation along those lines. What's actually going to bring healing, wholeness, happiness, fulfillment to children who are struggling with their gender identity, not hijack the language of the civil rights movement.
Dr. Anderson, how does enabling 8-year-olds to make their own gender decisions affect parents' rights?
Sure. I mean, these are intimately related because let's say you are the parent of an 8-year-old with gender dysphoria, and the government now says your only option is to treat them as if they're the opposite sex. Your only option is to give them puberty blocking drugs, cross-sex hormones. Obviously, this isn't just bad news for that child, but this is bad news for parental authority and for parental rights. Ultimately, what we want is for every child and every parent to be able to seek out assistance for that child to feel comfortable with his or her own body. Right? We don't want the government getting in the way here and preventing good medicine, good therapy, good counseling from taking place.
Biden's comments on this, they don't seem to be getting much attention. Why do you think that is?
Well, the media largely wants to give a pass to people who are in favor of transitioning children. I think most people in the media realize that this is something that the vast majority of Americans are not on board with. That whatever you may think about an adult transitioning, the vast majority of Americans think that children should be given the time and the space to continue growing and developing in their own bodies. And so while America might be divided on the question about adult transitioning and adult transgender questions, when it comes to kids, Americans understands that we really shouldn't do anything to interfere with their bodily development, or for that matter, to interfere with their psychological development. Give them the social environment, the school environment, the family environment in which they can feel comfortable with their own bodies. Don't transform the body. Don't corrupt the environment.
All right, Dr. Ryan Anderson with the Heritage Foundation. Thanks for your time, sir.